What's up, my beautiful cosmic family members and friends? I'm back. Alright, I got a lot to share, but before I get into it, that little catchphrase at the very beginning of this video, I put it there because it was on a massive billboard within a lucid dream, a recent lucid dream of mine. And let me just tell you in a roundabout way as to what was going on in that dream. In the dream, there were 3 non-human beings, 2 humans, trying to capture and tame a baby dragon. And me, I am the person who is given instructions to these people on how to get this dragon and how to tame it. My very best friend was in this dream with me as well. And I had given them instructions, and they had actually captured this baby dragon. They had a rope around the neck, and they were controlling it after they had taken my advice. And when my best friend and myself walked away, we were in a metropolitan type kind of scene. And as we were walking down the street, there was this massive billboard, clear as day, that read, "Let us illuminate those who are Illuminati." Exactly the way I put it in the very beginning. Black backdrop, bold, all capped, white letters. Now, you guys know how I like to be provocative, and I don't like to spoon feed every single detail because I like to get people to think and connect the dots. This dream was very, very powerful and symbolic of what we are dealing with in this day and age, which is a lot. We've been talking about this time for the longest. As a matter of fact, in one of my videos earlier this year, I said that everything, including the kitchen sink, will be thrown at us this year. After the sun and moon eclipse, the night, the day after, 2 days, 3 nights thereafter was very, very peaceful, very calm. And I noticed, as well as my family, who I spend a great deal of time around because we help balance and anchor one another, we all noticed that we wanted to sleep more. It was just so much more peaceful and calm. And I knew that this would not last. Why? Because with any acceleration and activation, collective activation, the planet is going to speed up in vibration. You're going to have more people who are suddenly waking up. That's exactly what had happened after the sun and moon eclipse. And naturally, those who don't want to see these things happening had their arsenal of tricks, and everything is on. Everything is on, as I previously stated. Now, you guys may even be noticing that your dreams, your lucid dreams, are very high def, more high def than ever. My dreams have always been colorful, very clear, but I do notice that they're more realistic now than ever, more colorful now than ever, more detailed now than ever, and more linear-like now than ever. And even if I have a dream that appears to be a 360, meaning several situations going on all at the same time, and my consciousness is trying to grasp a piece, or my brain, human brain, is trying to grasp a piece of each frame, I am now still able to break it down and bring it in more in a linear-like fashion. So that is telling me and showing us that we have really gone to another level. And so much so that I've shared this only with 2 other people, but the transition, I've already seen it. Actually, we've done this before. So this could be tantamount to a memory, but when it happened, because it has already happened, we just haven't energetically caught up to it. When it happens, it's literally like turning on a flash of brilliant bright white light, and you instantly on another plane of existence, another realm of consciousness, and everyone there instantly knows exactly what has happened. The sky is a beautiful hue of blue. You can't even begin to put it into words. It had 3 beautiful moons. Everybody was jumping up and down and high-fiving each other and saying, we did it. We were doing that because we are winning from this perspective, although it may not seem that way, but we have already won. And I'm here to remind you, in spite of the heavy manipulation that is going on to convince us of otherwise, the manipulation of timelines and dimensions, this has been going on for some time now, to try to thwart or delay the inevitable, we have already won. But in the interim of getting to that realization, those of us who prepared and have already ascended in 5D, and when I say ascend in 5D, I'm not talking about our spiritual bodies or another body. I'm talking about the physical form, physicality shifting out into a whole nother paradigm. Unfortunately, everyone is not going to make it. We are seeing evidence of this now, with many people literally losing their minds because they can't handle the energy, they can't handle the shift. So for them to have a vibratory match in a physical form, it's not going to work. Their avatar, their vessel, and all of their makeup would not be able to sustain a hold in that higher paradigm or reality. Have you ever wondered why we are attracted to certain people, places, and things? Have you ever wondered why we have preferences, likes, and even dislikes for that matter? Well, it's all connected to a fact of system and fact of matter that I've talked about in the past, and that is electromagnetism. Because we are what? Electromagnetic beings of light having a human experience. Now, what is electromagneticism? By Merriam-Webster's dictionary definition, electromagneticism is a fundamental physical force that is responsible for interactions between charged particles which occur because of their charge and for the emission and absorption of photons. That is about 1/100th the strength of the strong force, and that extends over infinite distances, but is dominant over atomic and molecular distances, called also electromagnetic force. And of course, when we look at the word, we can pull out electro, short for electricity. We see the word magnet. Magnets are ions that compel if they both have an equal and positive charge, but they repel if they have the opposite. A positive charge can be synonymous to an accumulation of experiences, life after life, that has been enjoyable or full of gainfulness from many of our sojourns and experiences. But the opposite would be for those charges that repel, that don't come together. These would be tied to those experiences that we had that are negative to our senses, that is unpleasant. As we incarnate life after life after life, we accumulate wisdom and experiences and the corresponding electromagnetic stream or waveform that ultimately governs what our next life will most likely be. So we have multiple layers that constitute our electromagnetic form. So much so that the vast majority of our electromagnetics isn't even in this body, because our true ultimate state is so vast. You've heard many people say this, and it is absolutely true. Our true formless life force, soul, spirit, whatever you want to call it, the definition really doesn't matter. That which compels us, drives us, that generates what we find attractive, what we are drawn to, the people, places, and things that we are drawn to and drawn to us. That is larger than life. And only a small amount of it is anchored here in your physical vessel and on a microscopic level intertwined with your magnetic spheres, your multidimensional cells. Those microscopic particles are there, and they don't all operate the same. As I've stated in a previous video, this artificial temporal reality or world that we call life or the matrix relies on technology to mimic biology or the true nature of reality. And just like us in our natural truest state, there is a technological system that interfaces with different waveforms, particles, and streams that deals with an entire spectrum of electromagnetics. For example, we have gamma rays, we have X-rays, we have ultraviolet rays, we have visible light waves, we have microwaves, and we have radio waves. Now, each of these rays and waves has water in different densities and microscopic magnetic particles that moves energy from one place to another. The technology that is all around us, the computers, the laptops, microwaves, TVs, your cell phones, everything that involves technology and some kind of interface from a remote location is in fact interfacing with the same kind of electromagnetic spectrum that I'm talking about. So we biologically are doing the same thing. And it does not matter if we are consciously aware of this or not. In a similar fashion to which the scientific community has been able to measure and catalog different electromagnetic rays and waves, I decided to do the very same thing with us, but from a biological level. Now, instead of using fancy scientific terminology, I decided to associate it with a term or designation that we are all familiar with, because these different rays and waves do interface with these different electromagnetic spectrums that we have in accordance to gender, emotion, meaning our emotional bodies, creativity, desire, willpower, love, and I'm not including hate in this because hate is a distortion of love, and thought. Each definition or each character trait or capability or abilities has their own respective electromagnetic wavelength. Magnets, irons, is all around Earth. It is in the stardust. That's why each electromagnetic or magnet will have its own functionality. Even though they operate the same, what drives them and what compels them are different. So we have the magnets, electromagnetics, that we gain from having a human experience from the elements of the earth, but there are electromagnetics in stardust. There's electromagnetics in mind and consciousness. If we were to keep the very basic premise of what I've just shared with you in mind, we can clearly see why and how so many things that doesn't make sense to us from a visible point of view makes perfect sense from a cosmic, universal perspective. We cannot see a person's electromagnetic accumulation by looking at them. If a person tells us that he or she feels that they were this or that before, but may not have a memory associated to it because of the veil of amnesia, or some of us have had our memories wiped, or we have our memory firewalled, again, the electromagnetics and that which compels us, attracts us, those positive charges, and that which repels us or is seen or perceived as negative to us is there by way of electromagnetic positive and negative charges and accumulations. So when we find ourselves being attracted to and liking and desiring certain things, the memory that is attached, meaning the accumulation of experiences that created those electromagnetics that drives or compels us or that we desire, the memories associated to how we accumulated that is blocked off, but the magnetics remain the same. This is why scientists will not necessarily find a genetic marker for why we desire and do certain things. Our electromagnetics isn't something that we can so easily mark or catalog from a scientific point of view, but in time, we will. What does electromagnetic energy look like? Let me see if I can describe here. You know the white noise that you see on a TV? Imagine that same effect, but clear and in 3, 4, 5D, meaning layers of it, and it's just rippling. That's what it looks like. And it's not visible by way of the naked eye. You can only see the electromagnetics, the particles, the waves, the streams. You can only see it by way of your higher mind or your mind's eye. But it's very real. It constitutes a huge part of who and what we are, and it compels us. It also attracts exactly what we need, just as what we are attracted to complements what we need, and vice versa. There's no escaping electromagnetic energy. A lot of you guys have been writing asking about these hurricanes. You want to know if they are being geoengineered, is it natural, what have you. And I meditated and did my readings on this. And let me tell you, it's a mixed bag. A lot of it is natural, but there are those who have a vested interest in controlling and manipulating the direction and how these things happen. We know that these things are natural occurrences, and they often happen when a body is, let's say in this case, the earth plane is in extreme turbulence. You can expect turbulence in the weather patterns, the atmosphere, even in us. There's a lot of people, they're out of balance, and they are in their own sphere of consciousness, having their own tsunami, hurricane, earthquake, literally and symbolically speaking. But collectively, meaning us and the earth, this is played out through what we would call natural disasters. And they are beings, yes, with technology that's controlling and manipulating, and in some cases seizing the moment to maximize destruction with these things, to stop the acceleration. There's also a desire, again, magnetics, and a desire is psychology to eliminate certain beings. We have to remember too, we collectively help to generate these storms, but we can also help to calm them. These storms could be so much worse for it not been or not be for the work of those who are connected, who know magic, who know the right things to put together to lessen, to thwart, or to control these things. Because again, those who are manipulating the weather in the most destructive and the most diabolical way, they're doing so with technology and chemicals. We don't have to do that. We can do it by thought, by way of our electromagnetics, because keep in mind, just as we have electromagnetics in our makeup, so does everything in nature. There are electromagnetics and magnets involved. And this is with this is why with this nanotechnology and nanotech, much is being done to manipulate the weather artificially in the same way that we can do naturally and artificially, because unconsciously a lot of us are helping to create some of this destruction, because our psyche and our behavior is destructive and out of order and have no rhyme or reason. So naturally, we're going to help generate that kind of cause and effect in this collective reality. Think about it. And in terms of man or outside influence, geoengineering, these things, they're very open about it. There's a lot of information out there on it. As a matter of fact, I told you guys time and time again, they have to tell us what they're doing, because everything is by contracts and agreements. Now, unfortunately, most of us are consenting to these things occurring by way of ignorance and wanting to be entertained, focusing on mindlessness, being too lazy to read the fine print. And we're all guilty of it at some point or another in our sojourn, by letting the wrong people in our lives, sharing our bed with the wrong people. I can go on and on and on as to how we unconsciously consent to many things. But again, when we are focusing on and giving attention to chaos, destruction, confusion, negativity, we are helping to generate that in the ecosystem. So in an indirect way, we are consenting to them doing this. And then there are those of us who know these things are going on, but yet we are not doing anything to counter that. So even if you are aware of it and you do not set forth some kind of will of intent to not participate, not counter it, and not do something to bring awareness to it, or state that you do not consent, by default, we consent. There's so many layers to this, y'all. So I am very thankful to those of us who knows what's going on, and we're using our mind and thought power and using our vessels to lessen these things, because a great deal of these things has to play out anyway. It's just a matter of how much damage or collateral damage is going to happen in this process, because this is a long-term process. There's a movie coming out I just saw the trailer yesterday called Geostorm, and it is exactly what it says. And again, they have to tell us what they're doing. So in these movies, they're showing you and telling you, yes, this is what is going on. But they often put it in these truths in movies as such because they know the average person don't even make the connection. They don't know that they're telling them this is what we're doing. And of course, the average person will think and say, oh, well, it's just imagination. It's just make-believe. Oh, well, it's just fantasy. But that's the loophole. They found a loophole in this regard by telling you what they're doing in the movie so that you think it's fantasy and make-believe. So you just brush it off. So again, non-acquiescent is indirect consent. You get it? And they know it. These beings are very clever with finding loopholes. They brought that whole game of politics and loopholing and all that stuff here. These things are not native to this earth. So we have to start thinking like them and not thinking like the way we think. In other words, the best way to deal with an enemy, you have to start thinking like one. Not be like the enemy, but think like one. How do you think they were able to be so successful for so long? Because they study us and they know us better than we know ourselves, unfortunately, for the most part. But that is changing, and they know it, and they're doing everything they can to stop it, but it's futile. There are more people on this planet than any other time in history. What do you think all those beings, unless it's something artificial or non-human, but where do you think all of those people come from? The beings that are behind the avatars that we call humans, and then some. These are beings from all over the galaxy, other dimensions, planetary systems, star systems, you name it. So they're not able to do what they've done and gotten away with it like they had in the past. A member brought this to my attention on AstralBooBaby.net, and what they did was took a picture of a character from a HBO movie called The Game of Thrones. I've never seen it. I have no clue. But there's a character in this movie who looks just like a character that I had drawn and shown you guys about 6 years ago of a being who tried to invade my mind, and I was able to block that being out. And interestingly enough, the person who brought this to our attention in the forum section on the website stated that one of this being's ability is to invade people's mind and consciousness. Now I want you guys to look at this being, and look at this drawing I had done years ago. Is this a coincidence? Because we cannot deny that the likeness is uncanny. And then for this to be a being who invades minds, I want you guys to start realizing that those of us who are often classified as crazy, we're always the ones that end up looking back in hindsight, the ones who have brought information to the world that most people are not ready to receive. And it always comes full circle. Now, subconsciously, when people watch this series and they have past sharings from people such as myself and others, this will be like a catalyst and an inner awakening, so to speak, in them. Because everyone in Hollywood is not out doing dirty. I don't get into that every one group is all negative and another group is all positive and all that. I know there's positive and negative in everything and everyone and every hive mind, every group sect, whatever the case may be, you know. So there are people in Hollywood who are trying to wake people up. I would like for you guys to tell me, what do you think? Coincidence? Truth in plain sight? This is a full circle moment, that's for sure, as far as I'm concerned. And last but not least, I love getting emails from members who talk about how me coming forward and sharing my experiences has inspired them, or people who have spoken about being awakened through my energy emitted from the videos, or something I said or what I talked about inspired them or woke them up, or I served as a catalyst in some way or another. So about 4 months ago, someone had written me and told me that they wanted to send me a free copy of their book, because I was one of the people who inspired them to really go on that path, because a huge portion of their life was blocked off. They remember portions, but a huge portion of their former years, meaning when they were very, very young, was blocked off, even though they remember bits and pieces. And people such as myself served as a catalyst in them remembering and putting the pieces of the puzzle of their life together. I wrote the young lady back and I told her that yes, I would love to read her book, and I gave her my P.O. box address. And life went on and I forgot all about it. So I went to my my P.O. box for looking for one thing, but the book was there. Now, the person that I'm talking about, you should know that I got your book quite a while after you mailed it off, only because I don't tend to go to my P.O. box regularly. So I got this book. It's called Hidden Goddess Revealed. I've already read the book, and let me tell you what D.Y. Robbins expressed in this book is a living example as to why these people are terrified about DNA coming online, that so-called junk DNA getting activated, and they're terrified of us remembering and knowing who we are. Now let me briefly read the biography. Hidden Goddess Revealed, Book 1, includes a biography of Dee's, that's her name, Dee's extraordinary life from 0 to 7 years old. Dee, an ancient soul with vast supernatural powers and abilities, is on a mission to gain admittance into 6 secret mystery schools located in 6 different countries. They all matter as they are dedicated to teaching the lost arts and honing abilities like her own. As a child, she journeys with her father, gaining the keys she needs to be admitted into the mystery schools. Her powers were remarkable. Indeed, they were. Her abilities tempered only by her innocence and humility. Some in power were bent on suppressing her from obtaining the hidden knowledge she sought. It was her father, Solomon, who fought for her. He was King Solomon in another life, and he was secretly recognized by Freemasons, agencies, and other influential leaders worldwide. Solomon was killed when Dee was 11 years old, and she became a target for suppression. Thus, Dee begins her search for her king, whom she had been dreaming about since she was a child. Her search is littered with obstacles purposely put in her way, and becomes an eye-opening saga as this seemingly young yet ancient soul reveals her story, and with it, the sword of truth. This is a powerful book. Again, it's called Hidden Goddess Revealed, Biography 1, D.Y. Robbins. She had no idea that I was going to shout her out. You guys need to get this book. Those of us who have had or shown to have extrasensory perception and demonstrated powers and abilities, but you forgot how to do it, chances are you have been suppressed too. And it is amazing the level to which it is being done on. You will see yourself in these stories, just as I did, and I know a couple of other young ladies who I saw in her story. It is truly astounding. You all love beyond measure. Continue to question, learn, and grow. And immeasurable love always.